Welcome to Real Talk, a place where we have real conversations about faith, doubt, and everything in between with real people. I'm Reverend theac, your host and current pastor at First United Methodist Church Pearland, where we believe God is real and work to build relationships, grow in discipleship, and experience transformation. And today we are going to talk about how to make old things new. I want to welcome our guest, Vance Wyly from the city of Pearland. Talk to me a little bit about your role and Old Town Revitalization project.
So, Vance Wyly. I'm the current director of the community development at the city of Pearland. And community development is over everything regulations in regard to development. So if you want to build something, if you want to add on to your home or commercial business, you want to move into an existing space, from raw land to already developed, that all goes through us. So specifically with Old Town, I've been blessed with the opportunity to kind of spearhead this initiative. And so thanks, Matt, at our Economic Development Corporation for volunteering me for that. But it's been an awesome process. With where Pearland is in its development life cycle, it's kind of time to stop looking at greenfield and start looking within. And so with that comes, looking at our existing items, and Old Town is a place that has a lot of value to all people in Pearland. So
yeah. Describe to me kind of the Old Town area. How do you describe where that is and why those are the lines?
Yeah. So I think a great way just to kind of, an easy way to visualize it is Broadway and 35 or Main. So FM 518, Broadway 35, Highway 35 in Main. And so that's kind of a great intersection right there at the tracks. And then the area is approximately 464 acres. It was platted back in 1894, I believe. And so, but I think Orange is the north boundary, Walnut's the south boundary, Austin's the west boundary, and then Galveston is the east boundary.
Yeah. I love that it is the original plot. And plus, we spread it out a little bit, but started with that original plot of when Pearland was founded. And this idea to come in and say, this land is already here. There's already, things happening, businesses, homes, and a lot of opportunity to make it new. So tell me, what does that look like? What is that vision of Old Town being revitalized?
Yeah. So these are fun plans, especially in, working in the industry that I work in. This is some of the funner work we get to do, just because small area plans like this are about, it's the rare opportunity to where it is about change, and change is certainly something we can't avoid. But this is about also honoring our past and being cognizant of who we are and how we became what we are today. Pearland's had tremendous growth over these last few decades. And then it's really important to the community and our elected officials and staff also to take a moment and make sure that we are still being cognizant of where we came from and finding a way to keep that culture and that feeling alive in this special part of town.
Yeah. I think it's really important that you mentioned that piece, that while we are looking for the new and exciting things that might come, it's really about preserving and celebrating what is already there.
Absolutely.
So I'm really excited about this plan, this dreaming, this vision for a lot of reasons. But I think one of the things that's really exciting is that First United Methodist Church Pearland is right in the heart of Old Town. And we have been there for 130 years. We're on Grand Boulevard, and it's exciting time for our church to really dream alongside the city and say, this is happening around us. Who might we become in the near future, while both preserving our long heritage, our past, our tradition, but also daring to dream new? What has it been like to dream new about this historic and special area of Pearland?
It's been a lot. It's been quite a journey. So I can't remember how long we've been doing this now, but adoption is going to be in June-ish, and so that's going to be about a year process, which was what we scheduled for. When it comes to dreaming new, it's just it's such a balance, because this plan is looks at everything from existing infrastructure, meaning water, sewer, streets, drainage, sidewalks, and connectivity, to what are the new businesses we hope this plan helps us encourage to come here. What are those public-private partnerships that we hope to use and say, hey, this is what our community, the business type our community wants to see here, and we want to encourage that to be able to come to fruition. And so lots of change,
talk to me about the visioning process. So we actually met because we were hosting an event for the city, and you pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I'm a part of this Old Town Revitalization plan. You were in the heart of Old Town.
Yep.
We'd love for you to come and help us with the visioning, but also if you would be willing to host some space again, right? So
Yep.
business transaction, but also kind of inviting in." And so we got to do, I think, 3 days of a visioning workshop, talking to business owners, residents, churches, organizations, and saying, what is it that defines Old Town? What is it that makes it who it is? But then also, what are you looking to add? I know that for me as a participant and as a host of that work was super exciting, super encouraging. I love to vision. I love to dream and do that kind of thing. But what was it like for you as organizing that, but then also having to collect and comb through all that information?
So first, obviously have to give a shout out to our partner in this, our consultant, which is Olson Studios. They truly have been just amazing to work with and have carried a huge load when it comes to some of the process and the facilitation. But honestly, for this, it's been easy because our community has such a love for Old Town.
Yeah.
And so, plans, they vary. And, you can look at our election numbers, you can look at the normal participants and plans, and Old Town has just been welcomed, and the feedback has been shared with just unbelievable consistency. So the plan's have been shared with over 35,000 people. We've had over 7,200 participants, and it's been everything from online participation, just following COVID. Obviously, online was something in a different world that we're now living in. So we've had virtual open houses, we've had multiple in-person public open houses at FUMC. And then it really is just lots of notes. So lots of writing down, lots of pictures, lots of drawing on the wall, and lots of maps that we print, letting people draw and say, hey, what do you want to see here? What do you think this could look like? What do you think about this catalyst opportunity? But no, feedback has been very consistent, and a lot of it.
Yeah. Can you share what some of those visions and those plans incorporate that you've already shared with the public and the feedback?
So I think one of the funnest things from the project is that from the very beginning we wanted Olson to identify 5 catalyst sites within Old Town, and just areas that's like, hey, this is a really cool spot that you could do something very fun with. And and while it is nose on the head because we're related to FUMC, I think the prevailing one that's come out of this with the most conversation is certainly Grand Boulevard. Yeah. And so, Pearland is unique in that whenever you travel to different communities across both the nation and Texas, they have a little more bona fide Old Town or downtown district, and we really don't. And that's because of our 2 major roads, 35 and FM 518, are TxDOT roads. And so rate of travel is a little fast, and it makes it difficult for it to be this pedestrian walk-friendly place. But whenever you zoom out and you look at Grand, just with its natural configuration and some of its on-street parking, it's our closest thing to like a downtown district as far as least amount of work and easiest ready to go. And so FUMC is conveniently located there. But I think that's going to be the big one that I'm really wanting to see what the recommendations come out, and it's going to take time and money, but how could we make Grand a place for community events? How could we get more festivals in that area, both cook-offs or even seasonal, just related to Christmas or whatever holiday could be upon us, and just really make that a place. And just, this is not necessarily to the question, but there's a perception to some people that there's this east-west divide in Pearland.
It's real.
Yeah, and Old Town kind of represents a place for us to all come together and be neighbors. And so, in both, regardless of the organization or a place of faith, from a community standpoint, coming together and being neighbors is just a real thing that we need to work to do. One of our strategic priorities as the city of Pearland is connected community.
Yes. Well, this walkability, shops, restaurants, outdoor dining, community events, that is what makes me the most excited about this plan.
For sure.
I am in my early 40s and no kids at home. And so I am not at the ball field every weekend or running to a dance recital or kind of wrapped up in those activities where a lot of Pearland families are. But I also know that our city is growing, that people are having their kids and they're not moving away when the kids go off to college or get older. And so I have friends and colleagues who are also kind of in that same boat. Like there's not a ton to do besides go eat at another great restaurant, right? And so to have some walkable shopping, to have community events in a kind of a smaller area, to have outdoor venues. I mean, that is to me super, super exciting. Wherever it was going to happen in Pearland, but for it to be happening right on literally our doorstep of our church just says, wow, we have an opportunity,
For sure.
And the picture I've painted to the folks I talk about this from our church is we can either be a part of that, becoming creative and innovative on how will we show up to those events, how will we participate in this new world where maybe our sidewalks are full of people who are not coming on Sunday.
For sure.
We can either show up vibrantly or we can be the dusty old building waiting for them to come to us on Sunday morning. And so I am so excited that there is opportunity and that the city would even invite us into that conversation and say, hey, how do you want to show up? Right. And what a space for us to dream and to innovate and really let ourselves be made new as well. What are the challenges? What are the difficulties with doing a project like this? What are some of the hurdles that you're already facing or are coming?
Yeah. No, and so challenges have been something that have been a consistent talking point through this whole process. And I think anytime you're talking about development and then specifically redevelopment, you just have to acknowledge the elephant in the room, and that's the financial challenges. We're not talking about greenfield, raw dirt that's easy to move. We're talking about existing concrete that's got to be removed and fresh dirt that's got to be brought in. And so the financial thing is going to be real, but that's where different public-private partnerships and how can the city be strategic with infrastructure to help some of those costs the private sector could endure. And then also, so one of the things that I'm wanting us to talk about as an organization, the city of Pearland, is maybe the idea of creating like an Old Town incentive zone, which would be potentially where we could help with permit cost relief or different fee things that we can do, and just what are the items we as an organization, a regulating body, have our hands on that we could ease in order to encourage the development we want in this area. Mm-hmm. But and then I think another thing, and this is just a part of working with humans, and that is patience. Mm-hmm. Good things take time. And so redevelopment is in itself the financial piece of that, and then waiting on the right stuff to come in. Yeah. This is not going to be hey, it got done, and within a year, it's amazing. Yeah. It took since 1894 for us to get here. It may take another decade for us to get in a new place as far as the vision that's been vocalized so far. But yeah, I think so. And I'll say financial, patience, and I'd say consistency. We as staff, we have, this can't just be a flare up fad. This needs to be a trend in Pearland, in our life cycle of no, we just prioritize and invest in Old Town.
Yes. Well, I love how you started by saying the reason why Old Town is even something we're talking about now is because the growth of Pearland and its life stages, we are almost out of green space. We are almost out of undeveloped spaces. And so that kind of forces you to look in. Yep. And I think it's such a gift, right? That we get to say, hey, we are stretched and we are here. And now let's take this moment to also look back in and say, what parts of our city need revitalization, need a little attention, love, maybe just need some creativity and some inspiration. And I have to admit this area that you're talking about, it's maybe the least exciting space right now, right? Mm-hmm. And so to think that we would, as a city, as residents and business owners, but then even as the church would say, yeah, this place matters too. It might be the oldest. It's what's been here the longest, but it matters, and it's worth our long-term attention. I love that you mentioned the patience too, because typically we resist change. It's not the change that we're resisting. We're pre-grieving, right? We know that change brings loss, right? A loss of something. And so there's that piece. But then a reminder that this isn't a quick fix. We're not just looking to change our mood for today. We're really looking to change our city. And as we continue to be a place where people want to come, not just for the great schools and the great family activities, but to move here and stay. Right. Talk a little bit about some of the other places in Old Town and what are some of those visions? You said you kind of like 5 catalyst spaces. What are the plans beyond Grand?
So there's a couple open tracks, just as far as trying to do it off the top of my head. So behind, let's say that's Jasmine there at 35 between the tracks. between the railroad tracks and Jasmine. There's some acreage in there that's still vacant and could just be, there's a variety of ideas. And the other part is it's difficult. Some of it's difficult to say because people latch onto words so hard. It's all conceptual and it's going to be private sector driven. But the land there's just as far as looking at the open tracks. There's another piece behind the post office off of Walnut. There's some good acreage in there that's undeveloped. While this isn't part of the area, just south of Baker's Landing on Walnut is another. I don't know how many acres that is, but it's a significant piece of open land that could just be a little easier to get to instantly. The entrances into Old Town, so they're at like McLean and everything, kind of those funky intersections. There's some land in there. We set up a Christmas tree there, and just how do we? And that's more gateway oriented. One of the parts of the plan is also about we really want people to know and feel when they're in Old Town. And so as you're traveling east or west on Broadway or north or south on 35, when you get to Old Town, we want you to say, "Oh man, I've come into something."
Yeah.
And so, creating that will take some intentional actions on our part with either signage or just something to notify, like, "Hey, you're in a special place for Pearland."
Yeah.
But no, there's like I said, there are kind of larger swaths of land that the plan's going to identify, and that'll be part of our workshop and our open house coming up here in early March. But yeah.
Yeah. So when we talk about this plan being a longer term vision, right? It may be a decade until we really maybe see a lot of this stuff come to fruition. And it may be more than that, right?
Sure.
The hope is that it starts and then it just kind of continues and takes care of itself. What do we see? What kind of changes does that bring to Pearland, right? To this city, to our residents, to our business owners? If Old Town becomes everything we're dreaming and know it can be in the next 10 to 30 years, what does that mean for the city collectively?
Yeah, I think I think if we were able to just hit it out of the park and that time frame passes and we're able to get what the community is saying they want, it would be a mixture of things. It would be well developed shopping in the boutique style and some family entertainment. And I say family entertainment, we consistently hear about adult family entertainment, and it's not about being a bar, but it is about a place where you could go and maybe have a drink and enjoy a nice meal and hit a few shops. And so I think that would certainly be there. The pedestrian-friendly walkability is certainly a piece of it. And so it would really truly be a place for the community to come together and do everything from shop and enjoy a nice meal or a nice brunch, along with having some good green spaces. How can we activate Hunter Park, which is a green space in Old Town, right there behind Ace? What can we do in Zaklinski to get more programming off Zaklinski Park? And so, it would be a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so from a community standpoint and the citizens that live here, it would be, increased businesses and increased places to go and amenities and places to gather. And then from a organization standpoint, in the city of Pearland, we'd be keeping our dollars within our own home.
Yeah. I imagine it again, just kind of back to you move here for the great schools and to raise a family. And then again, you just don't leave, right?
Right.
And even maybe better is your parents move in and they say, yeah, we're going to get one of those, houses that are now popping up down in the Old Town area so that we can walk to our favorite restaurant or coffee shop and, enjoy a nice stroll. And I could see where it becomes, it truly becomes a destination city, right? Not just to move here, not just for businesses, but for people to come, right? And one of my favorite things about Pearland is everything is already here, right? I don't ever really have to go into town, like into Houston, but if I need to, it's so accessible.
Of course.
And so if it's easy for me to jump downtown, that means it's easy for downtown to jump here too, right? And to come. And I would imagine if you are living in a high rise in downtown Houston, which doesn't have great walkability and green space, you might love an afternoon in Old Town Pearland, right? And go have a coffee and listen to a band and have some great food and check out some boutiques and kind of have this whole experience. And so I can see where that might be a reality, and it just continues to grow Pearland's strength and its beauty and the community aspect, that connection, right? Where people know each other, they trust each other, they're spending time together. It's not an in and out as fast as you can, but you're building a relationship and you have your regulars and events that really bring the community together too. I think it could just be really, really amazing. I've talked a little bit about, how excited I am from the church's perspective and as a resident, but also as we as a church really think, how are we going to respond? How do we come alongside? How do we join this vision? What kind of partners are you looking for? What do you from the city's perspective need from the local residents, businesses, partners? What would be a good partner in this?
So a little bit of everybody, to be honest. I mean, this really is a community plan, and so that's going to be everything from our Chamber of Commerce, where Jim Johnson just truly is an awesome advocate for that organization. Visit Pearland. I would say our Economic Development Corporation, business owners, the residents in the area. Plans and communities are successful whenever they have advocates. And so truly, it really is just about coming out consistently and saying, this is what we want in this area, and we want to continue to invest here. Because the things that are important get spoke about, and what gets said gets done. Yeah. And so I think just being a consistent advocate, and when you see something, say something. But a little bit of everything. It's going to take partnerships with the existing business community, the existing places of worship, and then making sure that we're being good neighbors to the existing residential uses in the area. It really is. We're all in it.
Yeah. I'll just say this is my thought because I don't want to put it on you. But, what I've really been kind of telling people is this is happening.
For sure.
This isn't just a dream, that came up one day in a wild conversation. These plans are in action. And I noticed that by the work we did with the consultants and hearing the businesses who were super, super excited about this and ready for it. And so what I've been telling, FUMC Pearland is this is happening. And once again, we can decide how we're going to be a part of it. And I know, again, with change, it's hard. And our world has already changed so drastically than where it was, really, I was thinking about 5 years ago. We mentioned COVID and that was 5 years ago. And our world is so different from that period. Take it back 10, 20, 40, 50, right? I can't even, I don't know what it was like before then. So different. And so I can have compassion and care for those who are anxious or really just not on board with more change. And it's still coming, right? And we can either embrace it, learn from it, figure out how we fit into it, or kind of just get left, on the sidelines. And again, that's kind of been my messaging to our church of, hey, this is happening. Let's decide now who we're going to be. Let's be an active partner so that our voice is heard and we can actually hear the other voices so that we're also not making our decisions kind of in a chamber of sorts of only, well, what do we want as our church and near our campus, but instead listening to the community, listening to the ideas, and then sharing of, hey, have you considered this? And are you thinking about this? And this is what's important to us. And so I'm really hopeful that we will continue to listen. Absolutely. And I think that's such an important piece of a partnership, right? To join the conversation, but then also to boldly share, both ideas and support, but also these are the places we're a little worried, but then to also just keep that open heart and to keep that open mind.
Yeah, and I think kind of like we touched on earlier. This is a plan that is about change, but primarily this is a plan that's been put in place because our community says, "Hey, Old Town's special as it is, and we want to protect that culture and that existing energy." And I certainly would echo. Not just for a place of worship like yourself, but any organization. And then specifically, you are located on Grand. Our community has said that this is a special place, and we want to invest here. And so I would encourage any businesses in the area, like, hey, participate, come out, have your voice heard. At worst, y'all are going to be an amazing place to park for whatever events we put down there. And so I would certainly hope that, like any organization or private business, that you're able to share your message or your product or whatever it may be with whatever people we can push to the area. And hopefully it ends up being, and especially for public events or private events and, public events just being anything from a farmer's market to private events being, how can we partner with the Montessori across the school to get a small play that comes and visits town for the Nutcracker or whatever. Yeah. And y'all will be there, and I guess you can either have your sign on and the lights on, or you cannot.
Right. And as you mentioned that, you're just describing an actual community, an actual neighborhood where people know their neighbors. And while they may, exchange goods and services more than that, it's that relationship. It's that beautiful connection of saying we're in this together and we're coming alongside you. I think we do this wonderfully in a crisis, right?
Right.
In a hurricane, in a flood, in a freeze, we're there. Let's do it when it's not,
Right.
a tragedy. Like, let's do it while we're doing something exciting. Let's just do it on a Saturday afternoon when the weather's gorgeous
Yeah.
and come alongside one another. Those are the things that I really see
Yeah.
as possibilities and opportunities from
Yeah.
this exciting.
So you saying that reminds me of something that a preacher did say to me, and it wasn't to me, it was just during one of his messages, and it was just stop waiting on 9/11 to make the change.
Come on.
And so it really was. He was just like,
Yeah.
man, just be about it every day. And
Yes.
so, no, completely would echo that sentiment. And, and also coming out of COVID, which was just life changing and world changing, I think across industries, across places of worship, and across just therapy sessions in general, there's these feelings of isolation that have come across so many people. And that's where initiatives like this, done at the community level, City of Pearland level, is about. It's called third places. And so, you have your home, you have your job, but people need a third place to go and be. And so when it comes to places to gather, as an organization, we want to put tremendous intentionality into that. So we have our cultural arts master plan that Visit Pearland recently had completed. We have our parks master plans, and now we're having Old Town Revitalization plan. And it's about having a community that's got places to go and be with your neighbors, and and just to be here, to be here. So much of this world is about rushing, and it's like, no, just come and be.
Yes. I am so excited that I live in a city that cares about that says, we don't want you to be isolated. We don't want you to pull away. We don't want you to rush on through. We want you to just be, and how important that is. And yeah, it's interesting that as a person of faith, as Christians who believe that our lives are transformed over and over again by the love of God through Jesus Christ, that we would be afraid of something new, that we would be afraid of some change, right? Like, I see this as a resurrection, as a whole new opportunity that is laid before us. And again, where I feel like God always does is invites us to participate and says, come on, you get to be a part of this too, right? Because we do care about our neighbors. We do care about those we haven't met yet, those who are looking and seeking and willing to try to find a new connection. And I know for me and First United Methodist Church Pearland, if we get to be a part of that, man, that's the glory. That's why we exist. That's why we are here as a church. And then to look at this wonderful opportunity that we are literally planted in the middle. I mean, we have been on this soil since we started 130 years ago, right? God knew the old revitalization plan was coming. And so how exciting that we get to be a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and y'all truly will be a cornerstone in it. Hopefully, even through Leadership Pearland's graduation where I met you, and that's how, I don't know how many events y'all have had at the church since us meeting and connecting both. So Old Town has had a number of events there. Our Unified Development Code rewrite is going to use FUMC as a hub for our stakeholder meetings. And then hopefully coming out of Old Town, the adoption of the plan, we're able to coordinate and collaborate on a variety of public events.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to plug the Old Town open house in March? Let people know what they can come and see and get a taste of.
For sure. And so March 11th from 5:30 to 7:30, we'll have our second or third open house at FUMC. And it's going to be our first sharing of some of the recommendations. And so this is still before like a draft necessarily, but we're really kind of getting our feet under us. We've got some bones stood up, and it's just time to start sharing. Hey, this is what we've heard, and here is what we've heard translates into a text for the plan. And so we're going to be sharing some of the initiatives. We'll be sharing about the Catalyst sites. It's going to be a little bit of everything, and it'll be our first time to really see recommendations.
Wonderful. Will we see like pictures on the wall again and get to add those notes and?
So will be less notes, but yes, there will be some of the participation. Just as far as we're going to want to get those ideas up for people to kind of walk around the stations like they have in the past, and so hopefully we're on track, and we've processed what we've heard correctly.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Those are again very fun opportunities to really see the vision come to life. And again, that's my jam. It's one of my favorite things to do is sit and dream, and have trained myself to not get too worried. It's like, hey, it's all conceptual, but it's also great for people to see like, oh, okay, this is what you're thinking. This is what you're meaning.
Right.
And you'll notice, oh, you don't have no plans to tear down my home, and
No.
you're not going to get rid of my favorite little place. And so that's always helpful too, to kind of ease those concerns. And I mean, what an opportunity that you would extend an open invitation to everybody to come and see.
Yeah, no, and it really is. I mean, this is a community plan, and obviously we wanted to have great partnership with specifically people in Old Town, from residents and business owners to places of worship. We want this to be something everyone can be proud of. And just as you mentioned, I've not seen any demolition plans. I have not seen anything like that. It truly isn't about it. It's about memorializing where we came from and acknowledging what's important to us and our culture, and then finding a way for the future, which is coming, to be done in a way that respects our boundaries.
Yeah. Where can people learn more? Where should they, if they're super excited now too, where can they go to find more information?
So you can just Google Old Town Revitalization Plan, and that'll take you, you'll see a couple of links in there, and either it'll route you through the city's website or directly to just the plan itself has a website where you can view some of the existing materials. And then on March 11th, we'll be at FUMC 5:30 to 7:30.
Awesome. And how can our church be a greater support and partner in this?
I don't know that you can. Honestly, I guess it would just come down to like anything. Just have your members come out, see the materials, share their thoughts, come out and learn what it is before you judge it, I guess is what I would say.
That's fair.
It's really not about the places that are in Old Town are important to all of us. We want to be respectful of them. And we want to hopefully have this document memorialize our values and give us a direction for tomorrow.
Yes. Well, thank you so much
Thanks
for
for
sharing.
me.
Thank you for going deep and getting honest and real. Again, I am so thrilled about this opportunity, and not only because of where we are placed and this opportunity for us to really be a part and decide who are we going to be, but again, just this, you're taking something old and making it new. Making it more accessible, more hospitable, more of what the people are looking for and needing, and so that they don't just walk away, right? That we continue to invest in ourselves and say, we don't want you to go find it somewhere else. This is the heart of it, and especially your words about, this is about community. This is about building connections and relationships, which is exactly what we're all about. So thank you again for that. And thank you for tuning in to this episode. I would love to hear your thoughts, your feedback, your questions. Please send those to theac@fumcpearland.org. I'd love to hear what you think about Old Town Revitalization, making old things new, or any other questions you'd like to have shared on Real Talk. I'm collecting questions for our final episode, which will be a on-site event, a live event here in Pearland. And so I would love to have your questions to share at that time. Be sure to check out FUMCpearland.org to learn more about our mission and the events that are happening at and near our church. And thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Real Talk Podcast is produced by First United Methodist Church Pearland in collaboration with Pearland Podcast Studios, recorded here in Pearland, Texas. We invite you to check out our website at FUMCpearland.org to check out additional events and opportunities for you to engage in real talk about faith and relationships.